Hey everyone, welcome to Boldly Becoming. I'm Angie Mercier, a retired superintendent of education turned executive leadership coach. After 31 years working within the system, I'm now dedicated to helping us speak and live our personal truth, all while leading ourselves and others. Alongside my inspiring guests, we'll share thoughts and stories of authenticity, courage, and transformation. Boldly Becoming is for you if you know that you are meant for more and you're looking for a little extra heart and soul to help you navigate the way. Let's dive in. You know that moment that you have on the drive home from work? You may have the radio off or whatever you're listening to. You may be driving in complete silence and your hands are gripping on the steering wheel. Your shoulders are so tight, they're up to your ears, your jaw is clenched, and you're just feeling the stress of the day. Your mind is going a million miles an hour. You're spinning. You're thinking about the fires that you put out during the day, or maybe the fires that you still have to put out, all the work you have to do this evening, the confidential crises that you've been dealing with that you can't talk to anybody about, and just all the heavy emotions you encountered during the day and maybe even absorbed into yourself. And then you pull into your driveway and you walk through the front door to your beautiful family that loves you, but you realize there is an ocean of separation between what you just lived at work and what you can actually reasonably explain to them, to the people you love. And your family, they try to understand, but really they can't because they're not living it like you are. You may be surrounded by hundreds of people all day long in your environment, in your work environment. If you're at a school, you're surrounded by teachers and staff and parents and students, and it's a bustling place, but you can feel entirely alone. That is honestly the invisible weight of leadership. And today, I really want to talk to you about this weight that we as leaders carry every single day and how it affects us. But first, I really want you to know that I see you and feel you deeply on this one. When I first stepped into the principal's office, that would have been in 2005. Yeah, I had to think about that for a minute. People really warned me all the time. They kept saying, Angie, being a principal in a school is a very lonely job. But honestly, I didn't believe them because as a vice principal, as a teacher, I was always feeling very surrounded by people that I felt I could talk to. I had the people that I could confide in. I was, I'm an extrovert. I'm very collaborative. I thrive on other people's energy. I thrive on the environment I'm in. Like, I guess I kept thinking, how could a bustling, vibrant school community be lonely? But then when I moved into the principal role and I was a single administrator, which means I was the only principal in the school, I didn't have a vice principal. I really learned that the dynamics shift. The moment you step into a leadership role, and specifically here as a principal, is the minute I got the title, regardless of who I was, regardless of who I'm known to be, and regardless of the established relationships I already had, it didn't matter. Suddenly, although you are completely visible, you feel hidden in a way. You're holding so much, right? You're holding union parameters that you have to, carefully navigate, board politics. You're dealing with really raw human crises every single day. And that can happen in families, in the community. It can happen with the people in your building. You're carrying massive decisions quietly, just really to protect the team that you're leading. You are there as the leader, and you become and can become that emotional sponge for an entire organization. And sometimes you may even absorb anxiety and frustration, and you have nowhere to squeeze out that water, squeeze out all those emotions that maybe you've taken on into your heart. I think back to one location that I led in that was extremely challenging for so many reasons. When I left this location, I actually gifted a print to the building, and it was a picture, and I don't know if you've seen it. It's that picture of that fish jumping from one fish bowl into another, and I loved it so much because to me, it really symbolized deeply the courage that I had to lead with. In that environment, it was such a lonely time for me, probably an all-time low, if I'm being honest, in my leadership, career because of the many public and conflict ridden situations that I had to deal with and I had to lead through. I felt like it was crisis after crisis, and I was the leader trying to toe the line, hold the line for everyone else, protect them, and also trying to build a new collaborative culture. It was really, really challenging and such a lonely time. So when I say I see you and feel you, I want you to know that that comes from a really deep place of knowing and understanding that feeling. I was recently in one of my Lumina sessions with our special guest, Dr. Sarah Sarkis, who was absolutely amazing. And she was talking about 5 themes of leadership, of high performing leaders. And it was so, so fascinating. And she named one thing that really, really resonated for me. She reminded us that when we are feeling lonely as a leader, and as we even rise up in the hierarchy, it can become more and more evident. But regardless of your situation, if you are a leader in any way, the fewer safe relationships that you have as a leader in your role, the more chronic stress you will actually experience. When we feel loneliness and we feel like this sense of isolation, it actually creates a stress response in us. And I think that's so interesting for us to recognize and really think about how that shows up for us. Because I know that I see that every single week. As an executive leadership coach in some of my coaching sessions, leaders who show themselves as very high performing leaders in their environment with the titles, all of it are coming to me and really asking the question like, I'm surrounded by so many people, yet why do I feel so disconnected and so isolated from all the people around me? And I guess I just want you to hear me when I say this. The loneliness that you're feeling in your role is not a personal failure. It really is a systemic hazard of your job. As humans, we're just not built to like white knuckle our way through loneliness and isolation. We need, as human beings, we need a sense of belonging. We need to have a place where we feel safe and we feel needed and wanted and we feel like we have something to offer back. That's part of being a human. And when we feel that sense of loneliness, it's just a sign. It's telling us that whatever we're doing, the current ecosystem, if you will, that you're in, that you're working in, isn't really feeding you the way it should. It's actually taking every last bit of your energy potentially. The question is, if we are going to learn how to survive our work, how do we learn to support people without becoming them, without bringing everything in that they're sharing with us into our heart and absorbing all their emotions? So, I want to share a couple strategies that have helped me along the way in my leadership journey. The first way is to find real ways to really emotionally decompress. So, if you've just been part of a really heavy meeting, before you dive into something else, before you dive into your emails, before you dive into the next meeting, don't even look at your phone right away. Just take 2 minutes. Walk outside, breathe in the fresh air, put some good music on. If you're in a private place, I would say dance a little bit. Do something to reset your energy, change spaces. Even take out a pen and some paper, put your pen to paper and journal about it. Those emotions that you felt that you had to listen to, that you want to not absorb, just talk about how you're feeling about the meeting. Or you can even write them down on a scrap piece of paper, everything that you just felt and all the things that you want to get rid of and you don't want to take home with you at the end of the day. Crunch it up in a ball and throw it into the trash. You don't need to become those emotions and feel them so deeply. Those were just for you to listen to and to be the leader through them. And that brings me to the next strategy is not to absorb the emotions, but just be present as an incredibly active listener. And we talk about active listening all the time as leaders. But one thing coaching has really, really, really taught me is that, and I always used to say, listen so that you can listen for understanding and not listen to respond. But when you're coaching, you are fully, fully present, eye contact, and really making sure you are listening not only to the words, but also to the tone, also to what it might be in the facial expressions. You are listening deeply. Listen, understand, but try not to absorb. Just because you are hearing it doesn't mean it needs to be inside of you. You can be present without taking ownership of the person's emotional state. I love this mantra. You can even use it. Write this down. It's such a great mantra after you have a really very challenging meeting. I can hold space for your storm, but I will not let it rain inside my house. Isn't that great? I want to read it one more time. I can hold space and be present for your storm, but I will not let it rain inside my house. So, those are a couple strategies. Well, let's first think about creating psychological safety. And we know as leaders, we try our best to create spaces that are psychologically safe, psychologically brave, places where our staff, where we can also take risks in what we share in our own learning. But creating that psychological safety in your organization doesn't automatically translate into a sense of belonging. You still need a space where you can drop that what I call that career armor, that leadership armor, and step outside of your role as being the expert and just being a human being. That's one thing I love about coaching is because I no longer have to be in the role of being an expert. I can just be the person who walks alongside someone. So how can you get into a space where you can drop the armor and just be yourself? Do you have those spaces? I guess that's the first question. Do you have those spaces where you can just not have to carry that emotionally exhausting weight? And even thinking about that weight of that drive home that I talked about at the very beginning of the episode, like, are you in spaces? Do you have people where you can be yourself? You can share vulnerably, authentically. That's exactly the reason why my business partner Dana and I created our Bloom Leadership Circle through Thrive and Rise. When we gather at Bloom, this exact loneliness is really an undercurrent in the room. It comes up all the time. And I feel like there's kind of this feeling of, oh my goodness, it's not just me. There are other people in the space that feel the same way. We did an incredible activity in our last circle on May 21st. And it was an activity where we all circled things on a sheet of paper. I think there were about 25 different items. We circled the ones that resonated for us in our lives. And a lot of it was around leadership weight and armor and things that we've experienced in our roles. Then we didn't put our names on them. We folded them up and everyone gave them into like a tray. And then we allowed everyone to pick one again. And when we would read out the comment, if we were holding a piece of paper where the person who had filled it in had circled it, the woman who was standing holding that piece of paper would stand for her as a way of supporting her. And it was very beautiful and so powerful. And some of the feedback after that was exactly that. I realize that I'm not alone in these feelings. I realize from that activity, there are other women, many other women who are feeling some of the same things that I'm feeling. It was an incredible activity. So when we decided that we wanted to create Bloom, it wasn't just because we wanted to host events. It's an incredible event, trust me. But it was really because we wanted to create that space for women to feel seen, heard, supported, encouraged, and really just a place to kind of exhale and just be. And I really believe that through that, that is a true antidote, honestly, to loneliness and isolation. Plus, the very cool thing about it is that we've expanded beyond the world of education to have women who are coming from nonprofit and women who are coming from corporate. And we have suddenly, instead of only looking at our own insular surroundings, we have the varied perspectives of so many women in the space. And that is another way that it's like, okay, it's not just me in this environment. There are so many other women feeling exactly the same things that I'm feeling. And what a great opportunity to exhale and breathe and be with other women experiencing those things, a place to take off our armor. Executive leadership coaching is another place where, because it is a truly confidential space, it's another place where leaders feel seen and heard and listened to, and they are allowed to just be themselves, emotions and all. It's another antidote to that isolation. So I hope you hear me when I say that the loneliness of leadership is real, but staying isolated is really optional. So if you look at that isolation, that loneliness, and that feeling that you have, not as a weakness, but just as something that is a sign for you to look for authentic connection, that's your first step. So I have a challenge for you this week, like I always seem to so far. I want you to think of one safe relationship that you have. One safe relationship, one person that you can reach out to in the next 48 hours, somewhere where you can really drop your mask, drop your armor. I just want you to send the text. I want you to connect and really just find a place where you can have a conversation, go for a walk together, get on the phone, get on FaceTime, feel that sense of connection and how that can really contribute to reducing feelings of loneliness. If this episode really spoke to you, or you know a leader right now who's currently acting as an emotional sponge and running on empty, please send this to them, send this episode to them, and let them know that they are seen. And if you're ready to find your people, maybe Bloom Leadership Circle is for you, or maybe even executive coaching. If you need to reach out to me, you can head on over into the show notes. All the contact information is there for you, and I would love, love, love to connect with you. I want you to remember that you are carrying a lot, but you don't have to carry it alone. You really don't. I'll see you next time. Thank you so much for spending this time with me today. If something from this episode sparked a shift in you, I would love to hear about it. Please share your biggest takeaway or aha moment on social media and tag me so I can celebrate your growth along with you. And if this show is adding value to the person you are becoming, it would mean the world to me if you took a moment to leave a 5-star review. Your support helps us reach more leaders who are ready to speak their truth, and I am deeply grateful for every single one of you in this community. Remember, this life isn't about reaching a destination. It's about loving the process of who you are becoming every step of the way. I'll see you next time.